Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to the Sober is Dope podcast. I'm your host, Pop Buchanan, and I have a beautiful episode with you today. We have two special guests, one that you're all familiar with. This is the return of Richard Lybarger, Wisdom One, who you know is he's a spiritualist. He practiced ancient spiritual teachings and modern spiritual teachings, and he uses that to fuel his recovery. Rick is also a certified financial planner, family guy, and he's all around good guy. We got a lot of love from his episode. He brought a lot to this podcast, and we're happy to bring him back. And today we have Rick's dad, Lee Lybarger, on the Sober is Dope podcast, and he has a profound story of one starting over, using his recovery and his spiritual message to fuel his recovery, and reuniting with his son, and making life a more profound experience for himself and his family. I met Lee about 2 or 3 years ago when we were shooting a documentary with my younger brother, Shalom Melchizedek. And Lee and I kicked it off so well. We were so fascinated with everything from Atlantis to Lemuria to everything from it was just like we just could not get enough of each other. So I want to introduce them today on the podcast, and we're going to learn a lot about Lee and his journey. And there's a lot of wisdom there. Lee, Rick, welcome back to Sober is Dope. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
All right. Wisdom One, what's up, man? How
Doing
you
great.
doing? All right. Well, listen, we want to thank you.
Hey,
We want to
dude,
thank
I,
you.
dude, I'm so happy to be here again, man. You're an inspiration, Pop. But I love our conversations. I'm really pumped about the book that you just brought out with the, with the mind and the neural pathways and how the brain just kicks into another gear when you're sober. And I just really glad to be here and to share this time with you and my dad. Been a wild journey for the two of us, for sure. And sobriety, at the end of the day, is what allowed us, in many ways, to just get back together and to build a relationship.
Right, right.
So
Yes.
glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Lee, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm just doing great. And it's good seeing you again. I enjoyed our conversations at that banquet
Yes, yes.
that we attended in Orlando.
Yes, it was a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful experience. Well, Lee, thank you for joining Sober is Dope, and we're going to get right into it. Listen, our community thrives on hearing personal stories of how people overcame their battles in life and their struggles with addiction. And I just want to give you the floor, and we're going to start off by asking you, can you tell us about your story of how you went from addiction into sobriety and how you found your sobriety? And we would love to get insights on that. Can you share that with us today?
Yeah, I'll be very happy to. Yeah, I actually started drinking in high school. I mean, we used to go out and party on a Friday, Saturday night before, and I'm from Pennsylvania, and the drinking age was 21, but we lived in the country and we could always go find a bar to buy a 6 pack or a 12 pack or something like that, and go out and have fun. And basically, from there, I was drinking all my whole life until about 10 years ago. And I was in the Navy. I was a Navy officer, went to officer candidate school, but in the military, there's also a lot of drinking and things like that. And I'll have to say one thing about, and the thing that sobered me up and I've been without not drinking for over 10 years. There's a lot that I don't look back on anything because I'm of the philosophy you're alive in the moment. And I try not to live in the past. The past is the past. But recounting the stories, yeah, I was a heavy drinker when Rick and Brian were born, my other son, Brian. And I have to apologize both to my two sons and to my first wife. We did get divorced, and for putting up with me and my constant drinking, where came to a realization about, and after I left Pennsylvania and moved to Florida, I did get remarried. And the amazing thing is, I was planning on trying to get sober then, and I did join AA and was in AA for about 3 or 4 years. As a matter of fact, I was the leader of one of our AA units and at church. And I hate to say it, but AA didn't do anything for me,
Okay.
even though I was a leader there. And it wasn't until about 8 years after my AA experience that all of a sudden there was a click inside me. And one day I was drinking, and the next day I wasn't. And it was all mental.
Mhm.
I decided that, well, I do a lot of reading, a lot of studying, just like Rick does on different things. And I decided at that point that I wanted to have a strong mind and a strong body. And that was my motivation, really, to, to get out. And it wasn't because of a program or anything else, but something that helped me very much in making that decision to do it is a little book that Rick's very familiar with. It's called the Kabbalion,
Mm.
based on Hermetic philosophy. And when I read that, the first time I looked at the book, I couldn't put it down. And it's a short book, but the facts and the thoughts that were presented in there, the 7 principles of truth, it just cleared up so much for me.
The Hermetic Principles, it's called the Hermetic Principles, the book's the Three Initiates, written by the Three
Yeah,
Initiates.
the Kabbalion. And during my life, I was baptized when I was born, I was baptized, and I was a member of the church. But for some reason, churches just didn't do it for me. I believe very much in, let's say, Christ consciousness, Jesus, the sayings of Buddha, other spiritualists. There's truth in all the religions, but the way they're practiced is more political. It's like being in a society or a clique. And one of the things that started me in my way to really quit drinking is when my wife and I took my youngest son, Brian, to get baptized in the Presbyterian church. Both my wife, Jane, at the time, and myself were born and raised in the Presbyterian church in a little town called Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. And our pastor there is a person that I still admire. He was a immigrant from Czechoslovakia, and he came to the United States to escape communism and to be able to practice his religion. And he actually lived his entire life that I knew him, living the principles of Christ consciousness. I mean, he was a person that loved people. He provided help and assistance, counseling. He was a remarkable person. And we were both Jane and I were baptized in that church, and so was Rick. But when we got to get Brian baptized, we were living in a different town, and our pastor from Mifflinburg wasn't around anymore. So we went to the Presbyterian Church in Lewisburg, and that meeting killed my entire concept of organized religion.
Wow.
Because we went in to get Brian baptized, and the pastor turned us down because we weren't a member of his church. And I tried to explain to him, hey, both my wife and I are Presbyterians. Our oldest son is a baptized Presbyterian. And now you're saying we can't do that or get him baptized because we're not a member of your church. And that was pathetic.
I agree.
We just turned around and walked away because we're not, and had a lot of questions from there. Anyway, getting back to when I got sober, I finally realized that I wanted to give up drinking and go back to having a healthy mind, healthy body, and everything else. Taking the principles of the 7 principles of truth of the Kabbalion, I realized that in order to really make it work, I needed to have a strong body to do it. Now, for my whole life, I've been doing exercises, and I've traveled all over Europe, around the Pacific Rim, Central South America, the United States, and I kind of lost my train of thought on that one. Sorry about that.
No, it's
Anyway,
okay.
getting back on that, during all those trips and all this time, I did exercise every week. Most of it was jogging, running, a lot of calisthenics. Never went to a gym in my life. Oh, I'll take that off. I had to stop off at a gym one day when a friend of mine wanted to go to the bathroom, and that was the only one he could find to go to the bathroom. So
I like that.
that was my complete gym experience. And so I started to look at programs that we wanted to do. And immediately that I have found the walking programs, which I started out with. I gave up, well, I was born in 1942, so right now I'm 83 years old. And when I gave up my drinking, it was 10 years ago. And I knew that going out and running wasn't going to be the best thing in the world for my joints and ligaments and everything else. So I started a walking program and I followed different walking programs and figured that doing that, it really wasn't helping me as much as I thought it would. So right now, my exercise program, I put in about 7,000 steps a week, of which half are done by aerobics, high knee lifts,
Okay.
and the other half are done by calisthenics. And about 45 minutes a day in meditation or cultivation, which involves breath work and other things. And from the day I gave up drinking until now, I have absolutely no desire, no craving, no anything for alcohol. And I hate to say it, my first wife, during the first half of our marriage, she was a heavy smoker. And by that I mean 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And one day she came in and, or one morning she said, "I'm done smoking."
Mm.
And I looked at her, unbelievable. I mean, how can you go from 2 packs a day to just cutting off? And I will give her credit for the mental dedication, mental focus to give up her smoking. And that's kind of stuck with me my whole life. So when I came to this point where I wanted to give up drinking and just cold turkey, um, I look back on her example and said, my God, if she could do it on 2 packs a day and quit, I sure as hell can do it. But the thing that helped me get rid of the drinking was my mental focus, breath work, the Kabbalion, and my exercises. And I can't speak enough about exercises. Uh, at 83 years old, and for the past, even longer than that, 15 years, even before I quit drinking, I have been completely off any type of medication, except once in a while I'll take an aspirin, and maybe once a month I might have a tone. But as far as medication goes, have none. And I go to the doctor twice a year. I don't do anything like that. One of the important things in my physical fitness that I really strongly believe in, and it's my guide, is an oximeter.
Mm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
Okay. An oximeter checks it fits right on your finger, and it'll take your oxygen level in your bloodstream, and it also checks your heart rate.
Okay. All right. Now I know what you're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That has been my guide in my entire fitness program.
That's deep.
Okay, and the way that works is that I think it's the number is, well, the oximeter will tell you if your oxygen level goes out of whack or if your heart rate gets too high or too low. So you have the middle range in here. And whenever I do exercises, I gauge what is, what I'm doing. And I use the oximeter when I'm done to find out what my heart rate is or what my oxygen level. When I started out my exercise program, I occasionally saw my oxygen go into the red or my heart rate go into the red, either too high or too low. And for the past 3 years, everything is on an equal plane and lower level.
Mm.
And I use on a guru of physical fitness that I follow, and Rick also has some of his books, a guy named Nat Fury,
Okay.
who lives in St. Petersburg, Florida. But he has been a professional wrestler. He's done many things, and he's a fitness guru. And he came up with a program that recommends, well, a couple things that have, instead of just going out and walking, walk around the block, take the dog for a walk or whatever you have. He recommends two very important things that I've incorporated into my walking, and very seldom even have to go outside, and I still get in 7,000 steps, is a thing called catwalk. Now, if you notice catwalk, you can see this. Okay, you go to take a step, but when you lift your leg, you hold it for a second and step down, and you just
Mm.
do it slowly.
Okay.
And it's absolutely amazing how that actually beats regular walking, because it's getting your leg muscles up in your thighs and your hips. And what he said, when you're doing these steps, every time you take one of these steps, you take it times 4, which is going to adjust your heart rate to what it would be if you're normal walking.
Okay. That's cool.
Okay. Now, I use that to then correspond it to calisthenics. Okay, every day I do Hindu push-ups, Hindu squats, yada yada, a bunch of other things. I program in the morning. I start out and I do about 10 minutes worth of body and body activation. Then I do body toning. Then from there, I then do cultivation. And then I do walking high knees, which is something else that I picked up from Pinterest, actually. But is one of the problems that you have when you do distance walking is for about a 2-year period, I was getting 10,000 or more steps a day, but it never really changed my body. When I went to high knees walking, I get a lot more cardio. Like at a normal heart rate for an average walk is around 85 to 90 steps per minute. And with high knees, you're doing probably 105 steps per minute, which is bringing your heart rate up a lot more. So I was able to convert. Okay. My formula from going from walking to calisthenics is when I'm done with an exercise routine, I'll take my heart rate at the end of it. If it's at 85, which is the same as a normal walk, I would then give myself 4 points. If it's at 95, I'll give myself 5 points. And if it's over 100, I'll give myself 6 points. And so you're taking the number of steps times 4 times the length of your routine. And it becomes a very easy formula to follow. So anyway, I love meditation. One of the things that Rick's big into breath work. And one of the things in the breath work that I found was it's a process, it's a Buddha process, and it's called Buddha of 1,000 Arms.
Ooh. Okay.
And I took that routine, and that is basically my breath work that I do for about 5 minutes before I get into my meditation or cultivation.
Can you break down, Lee, for us, what's the Buddha of 1,000 Arms? Like what goes into it? I love that name.
Okay. Well, let me see if I get this right. Okay, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Buddha of 1,000 Arms, you start out standing straight like this. Then you bring your arms up the middle of your body, and then you separate them and stretch out. Then you turn it in, you turn it out, you come down and stop at your belly button. Then you come back up to your chest, put a hand this way, and come up. What you're trying to do is to pull in the vibrations of nature, let's put it this way, the magnetic fields circle us. And then you do the same on the other side. You come up and do it this way. You come in and do it back. Come up and back like that. Come up. And then you go out straight. Come back. And then the important thing is you hold down, you bring your arms down here and stand for about, well, I do it through a count of 54. Now, what you're doing is circulating the electromagnetic energy through your body. And when you're holding like this, you can actually feel it circulating in your body. When I'm done with that, I go into another thing. It's I bring my arms down and say night. And I say water and earth, air and fire, plasma, body and soul, wisdom and understanding, mercy and judgment, and then hold hands with your fingers pressed together. Gnosis. which is in the Jewish term would be dot. And then I go into meditation from there.
Wow, thank you for that, man. That was exceptional. Thank you for sharing that with the community. That's incredible. Totally inspirational.
If where I first saw the Buddha of the Thousand Arms was on a it was on the internet. I have gone through many routines physically and mentally through my entire life. And the only exercises I do are ones that I feel comfortable at. And I don't force myself, going out lifting heavy weights or anything like that. But it works, and it keeps your mind clear.
I love that so much. I love that so much. So the foundation of your recovery is started from the Hermetic principles, and then you use exercise and meditation and breath work as a kind of like a total package to stay on track. Is that correct?
Right, and I do it every day.
Every day. So repetition is important.
Yes, I do it. I do about an hour every day.
Incredible. Incredible. Have you ever missed a day and felt the difference?
Well, I will confess that occasionally, okay, my goal is to get in 7,500 steps a day. And by steps, I mean body exercise, actual aerobic steps, things like that. And yeah, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I might drag or something like that.
Right, right.
And the only thing every morning, I always do activation to get my body moving. Okay, activation is many different things. I start out, I do 12 of these, 12 of these. Then I do 12 like this and keep trying to go lower and lower until I'm touching my toes.
Okay.
And the final thing of that is I come into a position like this and do 12 of these. I don't know if you can see that or not,
Yeah.
but it's from the squat position. Okay, that gets my body going. Then to get my head moving, I do head rolls. 12 one direction, 12 the other direction, and do it slowly. Then I try to get my fingers moving. And if you take your hand out, you put a lot of tension in your fingers and then do claw movements. So I'm doing this. I do claws this way, and then I do claws in a circle. And that, if you ever felt arthritis in your hand, that'll help clean it up.
Wow. Okay.
And then the final thing I do in my activation is okay, do a dog exercise where you're balancing on one foot.
Okay.
I don't know if you can
I can
see this.
see. Yes.
Okay, doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and you do that for about a count of 3. 1, 2. You want to hold your position. That's going to help you with your balance. And the other thing to help with your balance, which I do every day, 24 of them, is do a squat like this. You cross your ankles to basically balancing on one foot, and then do about 12 squats. And,
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that with us. This is the first time we had actual practical applications on the podcast. That means a lot to me because I learned a lot. It's these little micro exercises and things that can make a tremendous difference in our lives. One thing I do, and I wrote this in a new book, is something called rhythmic jumping, where I would stand, and I do this every day, and it's how I get my exercise. I would stand in place and I will literally hop to create like a vibration, and
yeah,
that helps the
Mm-hmm.
lymphatic system drain, and it also helps you detox. But if you isolate your
Yep.
stomach muscles and hop, it's incredible. I mean, I don't even have to like really do like weight training or anything no more. It's just the more intensity in the jumping is, the more you feel the whole body,
are
like you
you,
said,
are,
activation.
right, okay. When you're doing that rhythmic jumping, you're just going basically up in your toes.
Yeah, I go up at my toes, but I also create like a bouncing rhythm. So something like I'm really hopping, but in micro steps. And
Oh, okay.
I breathe. So I create like an aerobic exercise at the same time.
Yeah,
And I keep
that's
everything tight.
that's cool.
Yeah, it
Okay,
helps.
yeah, okay. Now this is a very simple exercise, and it was an exercise done by a guy named Frank Burns, who was a turn of the 19th century strongman,
Okay.
and he did it every day. It's an isometric, and I found it is excellent for strengthening your whole circulatory system inside. Okay, you stand up like this, arms to your side, then you make a fist, and you come into a bodybuilder pose and squat down. So you're kind of in a chair. You hold it,
Mm.
you breathe in for about 4 seconds coming down, hold it for 10 seconds. And this is or for 6 seconds. And the way you hold is as you breathe in, you're then going to force your breath out through clenched lips as hard as you can. Hold that for 6 seconds, and then still holding, then you just start breathing rhythmically, like
Okay.
for for
Mm.
an additional 20 seconds, and repeat that 3 times.
Incredible.
That's going to get that's going to it does wonders for your stomach and your entire body.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Wow, incredible. All right. So
Yeah,
I could see why doing this, you're not thinking about drinking anymore. I mean, this stuff gets you in, it's a zone you get in.
yeah. See, yeah, that's the whole secret to it. Get in the zone.
You get in a zone. You want to share something, Rick?
And sorry, what?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, I mean, he's always been I said, I was just saying something about you. I mean, you've always enjoyed fitness. It's always been a part of your life as long as I've known you. Uh, and I think that, you know, it's a tribute to the fact that, because you also have a good diet. I mean, you also you take a lot of vitamins, and you do a lot of protein shakes, and you do like greens, and so you also feed your body and fuel your body with good nutritious food as well.
Right.
Mm,
I
Um,
don't do
and,
processed
and
food.
I think, and it's just interesting to, yeah, yeah, and that's super important too. So they're all a combination of each other, and I think, it's really cool, Pop. I want to just share something because you know I hadn't seen this guy for 25 years, and his alcohol is it really, it affected the whole family, as with lots of people in life. It really can hit home, and changes a lot of things. And I'm happy that along the journey that we were able to reconnect in all this. There's an aspect to life and learning from wise men that have gone through life, and in their journeys, we all get off track, but I think what's really cool is that we can also recreate ourselves during our lifetime, more than once. And so when he was talking about, not looking back, there there are aspects to that journey where, you know he and I didn't talk for a long time, and there was anger and frustration, and we actually healed all of that, and we healed it. And it's a blessing because he's been able to share his wisdom about working out and his spiritual wisdom, and it's allowed us to reconnect, and to for me to learn about my family, his father and his father, and an amazing blessing to be able to reconnect with family,
Right.
especially when you become estranged from somebody for a long period of time. And it when you get those opportunities in life to reconnect with people, sometimes you have to take a chance, and you have
That's
to
right.
take a chance to be willing to reopen that door. And that's what I wanted to say, is just because we've all probably have stories about people that we've been disconnected with in our lives, and people that are close to us that were really important in our lives. And we have to be open to those opportunities when they come back around. And it's been a real blessing for he and I to reconnect along that journey, and both becoming sober and both finding the spiritual path. And breath work and meditation has been a huge part of it. And I think that those things, and exercise and eating right, I mean, they fill in a gap. Alcohol keeps us running, keeps us from hiding, and keeps us from seeking our own truths, or looking inside. And as we become sober, we realize, and we forgive, and we make peace with things. There's a whole other life that we can actually start to experience and live, and just enjoy. It's been an amazing journey for me, um, and for Dad, just in reconnecting, and having these opportunities to reconnect. And I think it's just an amazing part of life to be able to create, be willing to lean into a darkness, and be willing to open up to reconnect with people, and especially people that were at one point really important in our lives. So I just wanted to share that, because I mean, he's sharing all this wisdom about exercising, and it's huge, and it's so important because it fills in a gap. But there's other aspects to the journey too that I think are really important to just share, because I know there's listeners out there that have been estranged from people in their lives. And
Well, family is,
I just encourage you along your journey to open your hearts back up.
Yes. Well said. Thank you, Rick.
and picking up on what Rick said,
And go ahead, Dan.
family is really important, and I very much appreciate the way that Rick has been willing to reconnect. I mean, I left Rick when I guess he was about 12 years old, and didn't reconnect until, well, and he said about 20 years later. And I have, the way he has accepted me and made me a part of his family that he now has in Mifflinburg has been a big help to me and has been a very rewarding and fulfilling experience. So, yeah, I agree with Rick on that.
You know, guys, what I hear here is this is a moment to pause on the power of
It's
just
a matter of just being willing to give something a shot.
right, and forgiveness. Then the theme of recovery, we in addiction and sobriety, we all have demons that are sometimes horrible to look at in retrospect. The things we did, the things we failed to do, but when someone, even if it's one person, if they're able to extend forgiveness, it can heal a whole broken system, a whole broken line. So this is very emotional because I have in my life, I have a brother that I haven't spoke to in 10 years. I miss him. And I always say, no matter what, I don't want to hear nothing from this guy. I never want to talk to him again. I can't imagine it, and because I feel hurt on for the things he did or failed to do, and something like seeing you guys mend something, it helps someone like me reconcile that, to always leave your heart open to the option of love and forgiveness and acceptance, even when someone may do something to hurt you. And I can't compare the relationship of a brother to a father and son. You know, I lost my dad when I was 13 and he died. He died right in front of me at a heart attack. And I miss
Mm,
my dad ever since. So for you to be that age
mm.
and be estranged from your father and know that he's out there, that must have been really painful for you, Rick. And at the same time, I could imagine it was painful for you, Lee, because in your addiction, I know in the back of your mind, you know, you have your boys out there and you're not,
Yeah,
you know, so it hurts both ways. And it's real easy to close the door on someone and to let them be prisoners of their own sins and shortcomings. But you know, to see forgiveness here is a beautiful thing, and I commend both of you for your roles in that. And I hope I said this to you yesterday, Rick. I said the forgiveness is more healing than the anger or the pain or the other route, right? Just the forgiveness in this case seems like it's bringing more healing. It's doing more good than bad.
yeah. In relation to what we've already talked about, something that I do, you have to continually remind yourself of what you're doing. Okay, I have a coffee cup here, but whenever I drink something, I take the cup and before I drink, I turn to the south and then I say, I accept the attributes of gratitude, love, peace, health, abundance, wisdom, and renewal. Every day and every way, I am better, better, and better.
Mm, I like
And when I do that before I drink a glass of water or anything liquid, coffee, whatever. And it's the repetition. Like there's great benefit in doing every day some form of physical fitness, meditation, cultivation, but to repeat of words, so you're forcing it into your subconscious helps an awful lot. Even if you just say, instead of all the words I had, just say every day, in every way, I am better, better, and better.
mm. I love that. I love that. I love that. That's beautiful.
You keep telling yourself that. And another important thing that I say daily basis, multiple times a day, is negative thoughts and negative suggestions had no effect on me in any part of my mind.
I love that. I've been saying lately, and this has been changing my life. I've been saying lately, every time a negative thought or anything come in, I say the universe, God is working in my favor. Even if I can't feel it, even if I don't feel it now, God and the universe is working in my favor. We have it on screensavers on our phone, me and my girl. So no matter what, if you can see here, everything is working in my favor because every time a negative emotion or feeling comes in, I fight it. It's spiritual warfare. I combat it and I remind myself of who I am, what's my calling, why am I here, the power of the creator, the fact that what created me has to be more powerful than the negative thought. And I reject it and I
Yeah.
send it right back to where it came from. And eventually you get less negative thoughts, or as soon as they come, they
Yeah.
automatically transform. Because it's like that can't be true if this is true. If
Right.
God is real, or if something that
Yeah.
made me is mighty and
Right.
real, then this thought can't be real because it's an opposing force to something greater. And it works. It's been working. I've been feeling better. Even days where I feel crappy, I'm like, I feel crappy, but it doesn't mean that God is still not working in my favor. It doesn't mean that I still don't have favor, right? So I agree with you
Yeah.
that it's powerful to reject those negative thoughts and to keep yourself in a positive light. It's too
Oh,
easy.
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They had, I read an interest, well,
Well,
when I started my campaign to sober up and everything, one of the things that helped very much is to realize that your consciousness and your soul is an everlasting spiritual conscious entity. And we as when, each one of us, our soul is in our corporal body, which is going to deteriorate and go back into the basic elements. And to realize that our soul is eternal is a very powerful factor, that we're part of the universal consciousness. And as part of my
we're spiritual
meditation,
beings having a human experience here on the earth.
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
right.
That's right.
Uh, there's something I say in the
I, th-
mornings
I think
too.
I think it's really amazing.
Go ahead, Rick. You can finish your thought. I know Lee was talking. You can go ahead. I think it's a delay
No, go
there.
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, spiritual beings having a human experience. I mean, I think that there's a really important concept in all that. And what he was talking about with the soul, and like or that soul is always alive. It leaves our body, but when we go back to source, but we're here on a journey in this earth to kind of to wake up and be the best version of ourselves. And I just wanted to go back to the concept of just like wherever we are in life, when we decide we want to make a change, we can make the change. It just takes it take because you can't
Right,
make a change coming from the same place that the thing that you want to change was created. So as you decide and you draw that line in the sand and say it's time to make a change, you have to fill in that alcohol with something else,
Right.
positive thoughts, exercise,
Mm.
meditation. I mean, breath work, breath work and meditation and just getting out of nature and walking and just, even going out in the yard in your bare feet and just kind of grounding yourself in nature. I mean, these are all things that as at the energy that is within us is activated in a new way when we do these things. Alcohol dampens that energy, and it numbs us to being connected with ourselves and our truth. And so as we want to make shifts, it's learning tools and techniques other than 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 alcohol to help us shift. And I know, my dad said that AA was not something that really worked for him, but I would honestly probably say that his spiritually didn't really start as deeply as it did until later. And but I think there's some really good principles in AA. I mean, I've been sober. I've not been to AA, but I mean, I've been sober for actually it's 4 years now. And I always find it fascinating that my dad and I, as we started to reconnect, we found out that we were both doing things like meditation, even though we weren't talking about it at the same time or learning about it at the same time. We both came to those conclusions. And also with spirituality and learning about ourselves as more than just this flesh and blood, there's way more to us: the spirit, the body, the mind, the soul. I mean, so there's so much of this journey that can be amazing. And when we wake up to these things, and we're willing to take a chance on making changes, it life awakens in whole new ways. I mean, with spending time with my dad, since he's sober, and we've spent more time together, and I get to learn about the history of my family, where I came from, and learning about the principles and the values and relatives and hearing stories. And there's a really rewarding aspect to forgiveness, you know
Right.
and it comes in many forms: love, truth, forgiveness can do so much, because it when we learn to forgive, we're letting go of heavy weights that can hold us back from really becoming our truth. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah.
can't take something and just bury it deep down inside, because eventually it's going to come back up. It's like the white elephant in the room. It's still there, you
Right.
know? It is still there, and it's not going anywhere. And when it goes away is when you forgive it and you let it go. It doesn't mean that you forgive the actions that were against you, but you forgive the person, because, you know, you don't know what was going on with them.
Right.
And there's a lot of, I heard an interesting comment, and it was like, what have we lost in our lives because we were trying to prove that we were right about something, and in reality it was just us being stubborn
Ooh,
about
that's heavy. I like
whatever
that.
Yeah,
hurt
that's
us.
real heavy, Rick. Yeah,
That's
that's
heavy right
true.
there. Rick, I want to ask you a question. This is important. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but it's
Truth.
important. It's a the lost years when your dad was going through what he was going through, and you had to go through all of those formidable years by yourself. What was it like? How did you cope? And I think it's important context for even Lee, because I'm sure he wondered or thought about it. And I'm just curious, though, when someone is dealing with addiction and another family member feels that, how is it? What was that reality? That's a story to be told for the younger version of you, and I think it's still healing that needs to be done there. Can you give us insights on how
Mm.
someone copes at such a young age into a manhood when they don't have the dad necessarily present?
Like my dad said, and he started drinking as a teenager. I mean, I was probably drinking at 14. I mean, my dad left it, and I was 12, and so there's a period of time in there where I was just sad and depressed every day. And then all of a sudden one day I found alcohol, and then it just took all that away.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you're like, oh my God, this is I'm bearing it. So, alcohol was a tool that, because I had a chip on my shoulder, I had anger inside, I had frustration, and then I was the poor me, and there was a lot that I was carrying around, and I think what I did was I just put a smile on my face every day and pretended like nothing was wrong and that nothing could affect me.
Mm,
And I went through a long a lot of my life like that, and I realized that along that journey that I wasn't developing good relationships with my wife at the time, with my kids, with my friends. I was very shallow and just good at hiding and always laughing and always trying to be joyful, but really deep, you peel a couple of layers back and I was sad, I was frustrated, I was depressed, and there'd be weeks that go by with me just looping depression and feeling sad about life and about who I was and just feeling guilty and and along that journey things would pop to my field of information, like learning about the chakras and learning about meditation or hearing Tony Robbins talk and Brian Tracy talk and motivational people talking about creating the life that you wanted. And it was always on the outskirts of my mind, and I was always listening to those things. And Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad and just all these things that just help fill in pieces, and they are all showing me that we can be better if we choose to be. And along that journey, I just kept my head down and I just kept put the chin strap on and I just drove through. I just kept moving forward and I just kept taking step after step after step. And along the way, I would drink. Probably drank every week of my life since I was 14 years old. And now, being sober, I mean, that journey, now I don't even miss it. And I don't even want to have that feeling inside of that lack of clarity, that lack of peace, that lack of calm. And I attribute just the last 6 years. I mean, that was the journey that really helped me heal. I got to a point where my youngest daughter, enough 12 years old, and she said, I don't like who you are when you drink, you change and you become somebody else. And that took me back to a moment when I was 12, around the time that my dad left, and there was a bottle of vodka between the seats of the car. And I found it. And I asked him why he needed that in the car. I said, you got us. You got Brian and I, we're all hanging out doing our thing. And why do you need the alcohol to ruin that? And, I'll never forget that moment. And when it, my life came full circle, and now my 12-year-old saying that to me, I knew there was a need to make a change because I hadn't healed me. I hadn't healed my anger, my frustration, my depression, my shame, my guilt. And then I just went on a journey to really let that stuff go. And that was through going to the Modern Mystery School and learning healings and being around quality men that can be real and honest, you and Shalom, and just kind of seeing the world from some different angles and surrounding myself with a different group of people that wanted to rise higher, people that wanted to get better, people that wanted to just be better humans, and weren't just bearing everything, and I sought truth and realness. And it's been a journey, man. It's been a journey, and it wasn't ever a straight line. And I'm thankful every day for all the things that took place to get me where I'm at. And I remember, the first time that I got to see my dad face to face was probably, and it was the first time that he and I had actually had a beer together. Ironically enough, I was probably 39, 40. And we sat down and we spent a day just talking and actually getting drunk together, and in some ways making peace with each other. And now, he was apologizing for leaving, Brian and I, and there was a guilt there on his part, and there was shame, and he wasn't proud of it all. And I knew at that point, even though I was still drinking, I knew that I would not be on the journey that I was on, and I would not be where I was in my life if all the things that happened to me hadn't happened exactly the way that they did. And and I had to look at those as opportunity, like a phoenix rising out of the ashes. We get our dark night of the soul, we get our weakest moments, and then we rise up out of those ashes and we start to level up in new ways. And and it's been a hell of a journey, but it's ironic to be sitting here on this podcast with you, Pop, and my dad, and talking about being sober and talking about meditation and spirituality and the soul and exercise. And man, life comes full circle, and it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Thank you for that testimony, Rick. That's beautiful. Lee, conversely, hearing that, and again, I know you made every attempt to make amends and to express to your son and to your family how you felt. And you started off the podcast talking about apologizing, and you wanted to say that. And I wanted to give you the floor to give advice to any dads that's out there that may still be drinking, and anyone that may be going through a similar journey. I know there must be millions of people right now dealing with their own pain, and it's affecting families. Can you give advice to anyone? And is there anything you want to say to the world in response to everything you've been through, and any encouraging words that you could give, being that you went through something like this, and you had the benefit of coming out on the other side and having a relationship, but there's many people who won't, and there's many people who may not even live long enough to ask for forgiveness or to get to that place. So I want to, give you the floor just to say your piece. Maybe apologize to anyone you want to apologize to, and maybe give more advice to the future fathers out there that may be going through the same situation.
Uh, Interesting question. Um, yeah, yeah. The amazing thing is, in my life, I don't really have anything concrete to say in that regard because, in my experience, it's like turning a light bulb on. When when I quit drinking, believe it or not, I had a about half of a half gallon of vodka and unopened bottle of bourbon sitting there. And the next day is when I quit, and I never got rid of. They always say, "Okay, get rid of the bottles," because it reminds you to take a drink. And the day I quit, I walked by it. I left it there just to see what my reaction would be. And I had absolutely no desire. And the other interesting thing is the bottles were open. And 10 years later, both had completely evaporated,
Wow.
which kind of shocked me without using it. Yeah. Uh, it's, um, yeah, here it is. This is Canadian whiskey, and you can see there's nothing in it.
Mm.
When I quit drinking, it was up to here.
Wow.
And it just evaporated. I keep it there. I don't know why, because it was too lazy, just rolled away, I guess.
That's deep.
So, yeah, in my early life, my mother didn't drink. My dad did. My grandparents weren't drinkers. I don't know. It's just immaturity. Immaturity on my part in facing the realities of the world. I kept expecting things to be handed to me, which they were and they weren't. And yeah, that's a very hard question to answer.
I understand.
Very,
And
very hard
I
question.
respect you for trying. Even any attempt is commendable. Hmm.
So it yeah, I can't. Okay, I think it was. It, after having gone through it, and Rick probably feels the same way with him too. It's just a feeling that comes over you that instantaneously changes your whole outlook on life. And the other thing that I can say for people to do it, okay, and this is the thing, express, you have to get to a point of expressing gratitude for your life, which is why before I take a drink or something like that, of water or coffee or tea, whatever it is, I say, I accept gratitude, abundant love, peace, abundance. Keep reminding yourself of what you're doing so it becomes repetitive. Every day and every way, I am better, better, and better. And when I made the switch, it, yeah, I realized, and I had talked about it before, it was a realization that my soul, my consciousness, if you want to call it that, universal consciousness, was separate from my body. And I realized that I did not want my sensory perceptions, eyes, ears, etc., from controlling my emotions, but I wanted to get in touch with universal consciousness. And that was my trigger. But everybody, human being, is different, and the trigger is going to change it from being a bad person into a good person. It has to be something internal, something that you feel. And yeah, I can't come up with a a good transition. Well, okay, the story show you how I keep going. And when we had our meeting in Orlando at
Yeah.
one time, and I do this every day, and since then too, I wake up for the sake of uniting the all with the divine presence. As they start a new day, I direct my mind to the path of light, that I may receive gnosis to guide my thoughts, my actions, and deeds versus chaos. I renew my commitment to live each day in truthfulness, benevolence, and forbearance, that I may transmutate from my selfish self to an inner being of unselfish love and universal consciousness. Negative thoughts and negative suggestions have no effect on me in any part of my mind. And every day and in every way, I am better, better, and better.
Amen, man. There you have it. There you go. Thank you, Lee. That was
Yeah,
Drop the
beautiful.
mic.
That's drop the mic, man. Thank you. Thank you. I know that was challenging. Thank you for anyone listening. That's beautiful. You gave them a blueprint, right? To go, with the chaos is what we all struggle with, right? That chaos.
oh, it's the chaos.
It's
Yeah.
the chaos. And I mean, I could tell you, I look back and just, I always say, whoa, how did I survive that? It was just like this whirlwind of blitzkrieg, lightning, war, and chaos within myself, and that just spinning.
Mm.
And we conquered that. And it's never easy. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Lee, but we all have things we have to face about our life and things that we wish we could do over. But what you did was in your answer, you pointed people towards a solution of how to, a way they could use a decree and a mindset to say, I'm moving forward. I don't have to be in the chaos. I could go to the light. So thank you so much. I know it's not easy. And I thank both of you for being courageous to come on the podcast and talk about that dynamic from father to son. Because it's a strong bond, and I'm just happy to see in real time two people have the opportunity to fix it in real time. And God bless you guys, and thank you for being courageous. I think this episode is going to help many people. Rick
Yeah, well,
is
thank you. Thank you for having this on.
right. It's my pleasure. Rick, in closing, can you please leave us a prayer? And is there anything you would like to ask or say to your dad before we go?
So two things. So what I wanted to say is just kind of building on what my dad was talking about with these prayers. You got to just start the prayer. You got to just start the positive talk for yourself, and that positive talk, you may not feel anything the first day, but you just keep giving that positive talk. You may not feel anything the second day, but you have to keep giving that positive talk. Because if you've been in your mind, you've conditioned yourself to be negative and to think negative, and completely shift that with the click of a finger is a challenge. But I would just encourage everybody that's been inspired by this in any stretch of the imagination, just a little bit every day, 1% better every day on any of this stuff is going to get you to be a whole new person. If you do 1% better every day, you'll be, within a few weeks, you'll feel differently. You'll act differently. You'll walk differently. I think too, uh, um, boundaries are important. I just wanted to say that, like, when my dad and I got back together after all those years, I mean, it didn't come easily to get back together, but I realized I had to create boundaries, my boundaries, learning about myself, so that as we got back into that place, and now we're back in communication with each other, that I wasn't going to let myself slip into old patterns with him. And I needed to create space for that, and I needed to create boundaries for that, so that I could be me in that equation and not just surrender to who I was as a young boy or child. So boundaries are important, and understanding that is really important. And so I just encourage everybody to just keep, if if you're inspired by anything that we said tonight, you can do it too. You know, wisdom1.com is I'm putting some content up there, changing some things around, but within the next couple of weeks, there's going to be some information on there about ways that you can shift yourself and just little tools that you can use every day with breath work and meditation and energy healing. So, and Lee's been life activated and he's had some other powerful healings too, and that all I'm grateful to be on the podcast tonight, and I'll just say a prayer to the audience to have the spirit of God, the spirit of oneness with all, the light within you and the light above, as above so below, may they be connected and become one, so that you can continue to awaken to truth of who you are. You are beautiful, and we all deserve to understand how powerful we are. And when we awaken and we choose to take that step to learn, you we are created in the image of God. He is within all of us. God, the image of God. I shouldn't even say it as a he, but that energy, that power is within all of us. And I hope and pray that everybody can get a spark to move forward in that direction, and be grateful for all the opportunities that you have to connect or speak with family. And yeah, man, I'm grateful for you, Pop, for having us on here. It's really been a great conversation, and I'm thankful for my dad to awaken too. Because he had to make a choice to change his life, and he did, and he's done an amazing job, and his journey is amazing, and I'm really proud of him.
Amen. Amen. Lee, do you have anything you want to share before we close?
No, well, yeah, one thing before we close out, we've been sitting here now for about an hour and a half, and I think Pop should lead us in the Pop bounce
Yeah,
so that we can get the circulation
yeah,
back in our
right.
body.
Yeah, we got to do the bounce. The bounce is good. You got to bounce. You got to
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes. So, friends and family, thank you so much, Lee. Friends and family,
Yeah.
that's a wrap for our episode on the Sober is
Oh,
Dope.
so funny.
It's so good. That's a wrap for our episode on the Sober is Dope podcast. I want to say to anyone out there, this is a call to men. This is a call to fathers, sons, brothers. We all have to fight for love. We all have to open our hearts to forgiveness and acceptance. And we can't let the negative forces of addiction, alcohol, or chaos and destruction take us down. Never give up on yourself. As you can see, Lee, in the last 10 years, Lee was able to transform a major part of his life and develop a whole new system. In the last 4 years, Rick was able to do it. In the last 12 years, was able to do it. It is never too late to transform. It's never too late to pick up the mantle of transformation and to take ownership of your divine right to be as above and so below, and to be in the image and likeness of the beauty that created us, which is anchored in love. And if you are anchored in love, you must be anchored in forgiveness and compassion and gratitude.
Amen.
Sober is Dope. Love you all. If you're out there dealing with addiction, if you're out there dealing with pain and trauma, you're not alone, and we are here for you. So don't give up. I'll catch you on the other side. Go in peace and love, and thank you very much.